This video is sponsored by CreatEcards. If you're getting married soon, congratulations! You're probably looking for a special way to send invitations to your guests and collect RSVPs. If so, this video is perfect for you. Today, I'm going to show you how to create a wedding website in Canva, collect RSVPs through it, and manage your RSVP replies. Plus, I'm going to share my wedding website template for free to save you tons of time. So let's jump right in. Alright, so let's start from Canva's homepage. If you want to start from scratch, you can simply click on the website icon and it will open a blank website design to start from scratch. But I don't recommend doing this. It's much easier to start with a template, even if you plan to change it completely. So let's type in at the search bar for wedding website and let's see what Canva has to offer. The truth is, I have to say, there aren't that many relevant templates here. Some templates are specifically for wedding websites and some are for wedding vendors to sell wedding-related products and services. So there are options, but they are limited. I recommend starting with a template anyway, and I hope Canva will expand the options for wedding website templates in the near future. To use a template, click on the one you want. Below you will see other templates similar to the one you chose, and you can also choose from those to see if you like any of them. To preview a template, just hover over it and scroll down to see the entire landing page right there. To set up the template, click on Customize this template and you can start customizing. Now, I've already made a template of a wedding website for you. I'll put a link in the description of this video so you can access the template for free. Since I've already built this template, we won't be building a website from scratch because it takes a lot of time. Instead, I'll show you what you can change in this template, what you can edit, and share tips and tricks for building a wedding website in Canva that can help you if you start from any template. Okay, so the first thing that's important to say is that all of the text boxes here can be edited. For example, if you want to change your names or update the date, you can easily do that. If you don't like the fonts, those can be changed as well. Everything in the template is fully editable, including the buttons. You can change the text on them to say whatever you want. Now about the images, all the images in this template are intentionally placed into frames. If you want to replace them with your own images, simply delete the existing image and drag and drop your image into the frame. It's that simple, there is no hassle here. Of course, all the images in the template can be replaced, so feel free to customize them with images that are relevant to you. If you're used to working in Canva, you probably already know that the colors of all the pages can also be changed to match your wedding theme colors. If you don't have any specific colors, I recommend changing the colors after you've edited your images. Canva automatically detects the colors in your images and suggests matching tones, so it's easier to keep a consistent color scheme in your website. Regarding the icons in the template, you can replace them with different ones if needed. All the icons I used here are from Canva's free library, so you don't need a pro account to build or edit the website. Everything in this template is free to use, so you're good to go without any upgrades. Alright, so as promised at the beginning of the video, you're building a website that will allow us to collect RSVPs directly through the wedding website. In the next part of the video, I'll show you how to add a link to these buttons to send guests to the RSVP Collector. Right now, they are just simple shapes with text, but soon they will become fully functional buttons that connect to the RSVP Collector and gather responses from your guests. So when you're building a website in Canva, you will see this left panel. In this section, you can move tabs up and down. For example, if I want to place this page above the page with the timer, I can just click here to move it or here to move it back. If you want to create a page just for testing purposes and you don't want it to appear on the final website, you can click Hide. You will see it only here and it won't appear in the preview or on the published website. Another useful feature is the ability to add notes. If you're co-creating the website with someone else, you can leave notes on specific pages so they will know what changes you made. You can also lock a page if you're done editing and don't want anyone to make changes to it. And if you'd like to duplicate a page, for example, to keep the same design but change the text or images, you can do that as well. If there's a page you don't need, you can either delete it or hide it for later use if you're not sure you want to remove it completely. Finally, there's the Add Page button. This allows you to add a new page and it will automatically inherit the page color in the previous one, but will otherwise be blank and ready for you to customize. Okay, now I want to show you how I created this countdown that will count the time until your big day. You can add it to your website whether you use my template or not. I think it's a really nice feature to include, so let me show you how I do it. Go to Apps, look for AI Countdown, and click on this app. Now notice that this app gives each user 2 free credits to create countdown timers. After that, you will need to pay. For wedding websites, you will likely only need 1 countdown timer, so the 2 free credits are enough. You probably won't need to create a timer more than once, that's why I'm recommending this app. I've already used 1 credit when I created the template, but you will set up the timer with your own date, so you will need to replace it for your website anyway. Let me show you how I do it. First, you can choose if you want to create a countdown timer for an upcoming event. You will see a list of preset events like holidays or other key dates. But since it's your wedding, you will probably want to choose custom date and time. Next, this is where you set your wedding date. Click on the calendar and select the exact date you want the countdown to end. If you make any mistake, you can click clear to reset and start again. Then set the time your event starts. In my example, I set the timer for 4:30 p.m., so I adjusted the time to 4 and 30 and of course p.m. You can also enable an option that adjusts the timer based on the viewer's time zone. Once that's done, you can decide if you want the timer to appear on a page or on a picture. For my example, I placed it on a page, but you can choose what works best for your design. When you're ready, click Generate. Keep in mind that this step uses one of your free credits. After generating the timer, it will appear on your canvas. You can move it wherever you want on your website. Now you can customize it. If you want to change the date or time, you can change it under the deadline section. You can also decide whether to show fractional seconds, though it's not really necessary for a wedding countdown, in my opinion. You can even adjust how the seconds move. By default, it sets to tick, but you can change it to sweep or another motion style if you prefer. There are plenty of options to explore here. Another thing you can customize is the font. After you choose a font category, you will have fonts to choose from in the menu down here. Keep in mind that not all Canva fonts are available in this app, so some specific fonts might not appear here. You can also adjust the size and color of the numbers to match your design. If you want to add an effect, there are several options to choose from. Each effect has its own settings, so you can customize it however you like. For labels like days, hours, or minutes, you can choose to show or hide them. You can reposition them, change the font, color, or even rewrite them in a different language if needed. Finally, when you're happy with the design, click Update Design to save your changes. Then click Add to Design and your customized timer will appear on your website. You can always go back and make adjustments later. This is such a nice trick to add a countdown timer to your wedding website, and with the 2 free credits, it's just free and simple to use and adds a really special touch to your website. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is a trick that's super useful when setting up your website in Canva. It's about adding page dividers. If I preview my website right now, you will notice that without any page dividers, the sections just flow into each other. There's no clear separation between different sections of the website. Now let me show how I created the page dividers. First, I'm going to delete the timer for a moment and leave my original setup. I will also delete one of the fades I've created just to show you how to recreate this. For example, let's say I have 2 pages I don't want to look connected. Of course, I could change the color of one page to make it stand out more, but instead let's create more subtle divide. Here's what I do. I'll press R on my keyboard to create a rectangle, which will act as a new divider. Then I'll stretch the rectangle to match the full width of the page. Next, I'll go to the color settings, choose black as the base color, and then click on gradient. For the second color, I'll also choose black, but set the opacity to 0. Now I'll adjust the gradient position so the side with 0 opacity is on the left, and I'll change the gradient style for a smoother effect. At first it might look too strong, so I'll lower the transparency to make it softer. For this example, I used a transparency of 8 for one side and 7 for the other. This makes the divider subtle but effective. If you search the element library, you will find similar shadow effects already available. However, keep in mind that some of these shadows are only accessible with a Canva Pro account. Okay, another cool trick you can add to your wedding website is a live map with Google Maps. Every wedding venue is unique, so you will likely want to update the map in my template to match your event. You can replace it with a screenshot from Google Maps or delete it and add something else entirely. But let me show you a great trick to embed a live view of Google Maps directly into your website. Here's how you do it. Go to Apps, search for Maps, and choose the Google Maps app. This app allows you to search for and embed live maps of location from around the world. Next, copy and paste the address of your event into the search bar and press enter. The app will generate a live map of your venue, which will appear right on your website. Let's preview it and see how it looks. As you can see, the map is interactive. Your guests can zoom in, zoom out, and explore the surrounding area. If you want to give your guests something functional and engaging, adding a live map like this is a fantastic idea. Now I'll delete the map for now. Another trick I use in my template, and it's an important one, is adding an overlay to make text stand out on bright images. For instance, if you place the text over an image and it's too bright, the text might be hard to read. Here's how I fix that. I start by pressing R on my keyboard to create a rectangle. Then I stretch the rectangle to cover the entire picture. Don't worry about going out of the bounds, it won't affect the final design. Next, I select black as the rectangle's color and adjust the transparency to make it partially see-through. This softens the picture underneath while making the text above it much more visible. As you can see, this makes a huge difference if you replace the picture with your own. Just make sure the rectangle stays between the image and the text in your layers panel. Okay, now something else I wanted to show you, and it's in the preview, and that's the navigation menu. As you can see, I have one up here. You can choose whether or not to show this menu. Let me show you how it works. When I click on it, it takes me to a specific section of the website. Now, this menu might not appear for you initially, so let me show you how to activate it. When you're ready to publish your website, you will have the option to include a navigation menu. If you check this box, the navigation menu will appear on your site. I'll also show you how to define the names for sections in the navigation menu. If I go to Grid View down here, you will notice that I've given each page a name. You can rename any page, and only pages with names will show up in the navigation menu at the top of your website. For example, let's say there is a page I don't want to include in the menu. I simply won't give it a name. In the preview, you will see that only pages with names appear in the menu, while unnamed pages won't show up. Now, the last thing I want to show you is how to publish your website. To do this, click on Publish Website again. The first option is to decide whether you want your site to be mobile friendly. I have to mention that the mobile layout in Canva doesn't always work perfectly. But if you don't enable it, your site will look the same on mobile as it does on desktop. So anyway, I recommend pressing Resize for mobile to optimize it for smaller screens. You can also decide if you want to include the navigation menu, as I mentioned earlier. Next, you will need to decide the website's URL. For example, I'd name mine Emily and James. Since we're using Canva for free, the URL will end with .my.canva.site. If you prefer, you can upgrade to a pro account and connect your own domain through a third-party provider. But for now, we will keep it free. Finally, in the Publish setting, you can customize what will appear in the tab title. I'll type Emily and James, the wedding, and it should update automatically. You can also add a description for your site, which will appear in Google search results if you allow the site to be indexed. In the advanced settings, you can choose whether or not to protect the site with a password. I'm leaving it open so all the guests can access it without needing a password. Here you can choose if you want your website to be visible in search results like Google search. I will leave it enabled. Additionally, you can customize the preview image that will appear when you share the link on platforms like Facebook, for example. By default, it uses the first image of your site, but you can upload any image you like. When everything is set, click on Publish Website, and within seconds, your site will be live. Now, let's check out our live website. Beautiful, I love it. As you can see, it has the navigation menu at the top, allowing visitors to easily move between pages. And the best part, all this was created for free using Canva. Isn't that amazing? Next, we'll move on to adding the RSVP Collector to the buttons on our wedding website. Alright, so to sync our website with the RSVP Collector, I go back to Canva to my website design. I'll start by clicking Edit Design to continue editing it. I'm not going to do much here, but in order to sync it with the collector, I need to do a few small things. First, I need to create a page without the RSVP button I created earlier. I just want a page that looks like an invitation to sync into the app. So I'll duplicate this page, delete the button here, drag the page to make it a bit bigger, and select all the other elements to stretch them across the entire page. Now I'll go to Apps, search for CreatEcards, and click on this app. I already synced this design with the app, so that's why you can already see it here. Normally, you will see a Create New button and you will get to this point as well. As you can see, I synced the first page, but I want to do it again so that page 2, which I just created, will appear here in the indentation. What I'll do is click on Sync Design and then I'll choose which pages to sync into the indentation. Note that you can sync up to 2 pages into your indentation, but in a few moments I'll show you how you can sync your entire design and include animations and music. So I'll choose only page 2 here and click Export. Now I see page 2 in the indentation. Next, I'll click on Edit Invite. If I want to customize the background, buttons, and everything besides the design I just synced, I can click on Style e-Invite. The first thing you can choose is the background surrounding your design. I chose the same color as my design's background so it looks unified. The second thing you can adjust is how the top banner looks. I'll change it from flat to soft, and you can edit the banner text or add a logo if you have one. In content, you can choose how the invite's edges will look. I'll change it to curved and then tweak the shadow and button edges to match my style. I'll adjust the button shadow to align with the invite's shadow. I'll click Preview Changes to see how it looks now. As you can see, the shadows and buttons looks different now. This can be easily customized later, so don't worry too much about it now. I'll click on Looks Good, Continue. Here I have the option to sync the entire design and enable video, music, and animations. If you've created something with more than 2 pages or included music, animation, or transitions, you can embed it here. I'll stick with just page 2, but let me show you how it's done in case you want to use this feature. You toggle this button, then paste the HTML embed code from Canva. To get it, go to Share, choose Embed, copy the first link, and paste it here. To save it, click Continue, but since I'm not using this option today, I'll toggle it off. I'll hit Continue, and here you can choose to generate a QR code. If you're planning to print your invitation, you can add a QR code with the link to the online RSVP. You can edit the QR code's color and opacity if needed. In my case, I'll use a link because I want to add it to the buttons on my wedding website. From here, you can copy the link and paste it into the buttons on the website. This is the link that will guide your guests to fill their RSVPs. You can customize this link later, so let's move on. To collect and manage your RSVPs, you will need to sign up for CreatEcards. And yes, it's completely free. You don't need to provide any payment information or credit card to get started. Before I continue, if you made any changes to your design and want to sync it to update your invite, you can click on Sync Design. Alright, so I'm ready. Let's go to CreatEcards website. Now, you will need to sign up for CreatEcards. As I mentioned, it's completely free and you don't need to provide a credit card. You can send out your entire invitation and start collecting RSVPs at no cost. The free plan allows up to 15 replies, but keep in mind this refers to replies, not the total number of guests. For example, if you send the invitation to 15 people and allow them to bring their families, you could easily accommodate 40 to 50 guests within the free tier. Another important note, even on the free plan, if you receive more than 15 replies, CreatEcards will still collect your RSVPs. However, to view the replies exceeding 15, you will need to upgrade your plan. This means none of your responses will be lost. Alright, let's hit Continue. You will need to choose invitation in the type of e-card you're creating. Next, we'll start filling in all the event details. I'll hit Yes, Create Invitation. I've already filled in the details to save you time, so let's quickly go over them. The first thing you will need to do is toggle on the option to allow RSVP collection. Then fill the host names, the event title, the country where the event will take place, the time zone, the type of event if you want, and of course the start date and time. You can also add the event's end time if you like. Another nice feature if you're planning to upgrade to Pro is the ability to send your guests a link so they can add the event to their calendar automatically. Next, we need to add the location of the event. You can choose in person, online, or opt not to provide a location in your invitation at all. Since this is a wedding, it will obviously be in person. Here you can enter the venue name. For example, if you're hosting the wedding at the hotel, you can type the hotel's name right here. Next, fill in the venue's address. If your address is outside of the US and doesn't fit into the fields provided, you can simply enter the full address in one field and leave the rest blank. But if the address is within the US, I recommend filling in all the fields accurately. You can also include a link to a Maps application so your guests can click on it and view the location in your preferred map app. I'll click on Test Your Map link to show you how it works. As you can see, it takes me directly to this hotels page on Google Maps. I'll hit share and copy the link to paste it into the invitation I'm creating. Next, you can decide if you want your guests to bring gifts. If you already have a registry, you can include its name and link. If you don't have one, you can create a registry through Amazon or Babylist using the links provided here. Now let's set the RSVP settings. You can choose whether to collect dietary or allergy information from your guests. You can also indicate whether the event is adult only and decide how many additional guests each invitee is allowed to bring. For example, if I'm inviting the Johnson family, I can specify how many people they're allowed to include with their RSVP. These settings apply globally to the entire guest list. Later, I'll show you how to set custom rules for specific guests. If you decide to upgrade to Pro, you will unlock the ability to create specific settings for individual guests. For instance, if you mark the event as adult only but you want to allow your family to bring children, you can adjust those settings in the dashboard after creating the event. Alright, let's continue. I'll click Next. In this part, you can choose if you want to add meal options. I already added these options. You can add any meal option you want and also delete an option you created and recreate it if needed. Next, you can choose whether to add an event description or additional information. If you decide to include one, toggle on the option to add event info block. It will appear right here under your design. This can be done manually if you want to write something yourself, or you can use AI to help you create the info block. First, check the checkbox here, then click on Try Event Scribe and the AI will generate a text for you. The AI uses all the details you've entered about your event to write a nice paragraph with all the key information your guests need to know. As you can see, the AI has included all the details I entered, including the meal options and even the note that this is a child-free event. I recommend reviewing the text carefully before adding it to your invitation, as it's always a good idea to double-check AI-generated content. If you'd like to adjust the paragraph using AI, you can click on Quick Edits and select one of the available options. For example, if I want to make the paragraph sound warmer, I can click here and the AI will rewrite it with more emotional or friendly language. You can also edit the text manually if you want to make any additional tweaks before saving it. Once you're ready, click on Add to Invite and the text will appear both here and in your invitation. If you decide not to include this info block, you can always toggle it off and the text will not appear in your invitation. Alright, so let's move on to style. As I showed earlier, in Canva you can customize the background and buttons here and pretty much everything apart from the design you created in Canva. I chose black for the theme color and the shadow color. You can also change the text color and select a wallpaper color for the entire invitation. Additionally, you can customize the other available options here and even add a logo or a wallpaper. Alright, we're almost done. Let's move on to publishing. Here you can modify your e-card URL. This is the URL I will paste into the buttons on my wedding website. I can hit modify and it will notify me that if I've already shared the link elsewhere, modifying it will change the link. So make sure you want to make changes before proceeding. As you can see, I named the URL Wedding Emily James. For example, I could change it to Emily James Wedding. Any spaces or commas in the name will automatically turn into dashes. You can also edit the browser tab text display above if you want. Once you're ready, just hit publish to save all your changes. As I mentioned earlier, with the free account, you can send out your invitation and collect up to 15 replies. CreatEcards will continue collecting RSVPs even after the limit of 15 replies is reached. You will just need to upgrade your plan to view responses beyond that number. Upgrading to Pro unlocks additional features like the ability to customize RSVP settings for specific guests and sending a link that allows them to automatically add the event to their calendar. Honestly, upgrading is highly recommended. It's a minimal cost, and if you're planning a wedding, you're probably going to invite more than 15 people. It's a small investment that ensures a smoother experience for both you and your guests. Now let me show you how to share your e-card. It's important to note that you can choose the default eCard language here. If you want the eCard to be in a language other than English, you can change it in this section. The first sharing option is to copy the link to the eCard. This is the link I want my guests to click to submit their RSVPs. I'll copy the link and then return to Canva, where I'll paste it into the buttons on my wedding website. First, I'll delete the page I created just to sync the invitation. Then I'll paste the link into the buttons. To do this, I'll click on the first button, hit Command and K, and paste the link. I'll quickly undo the underline that appears. If your buttons are a group of a shape and text, ungroup them first and make sure you paste in the link into both the shape and the text. Alright, now let's paste the link into the other button as well. With that, my website is ready. I'll publish the website now and let's test it. Alright, let's make sure the buttons are working. Alright, it works perfectly. This is the eCard I created. You can see the design I synced and all the event details. At the bottom, if I click RSVP, I can fill in a response as a guest. Let me quickly show you how the RSVP process will look to your guests. First, they will need to sign up with their email address and then click Next. They will fill in their first and last name and indicate whether they are attending the event or not. Next, they will select their meal preference as I defined earlier. They will also have the option to specify any dietary restrictions or allergy information. Here, they can add additional guests to the invitation. As I said earlier, each guest can add up to 5 additional guests. Let me quickly add another guest so you can see how it works. I'll enter the first and last name, meal preference, and any dietary or allergy information. As you can see when I click Confirm, both guests are now listed as attendees. Your guest will be able to edit or delete their information or add more guests as needed. Below that, they will see another reminder of the event details, and they can also include a note to the hosts if they want. Finally, there is an option to choose whether they like to receive email updates about the event, and that's it. They're done. So this was one way to share your eCard with your guests, using the buttons on your wedding website. Now let me show you other ways to share your eCard with your guests. If I go to Share, I can click Share again, which opens the standard menu on my MacBook. From here, you can choose any sharing method you're comfortable with directly from your computer. In this option, you can also include text. To do this, toggle on the text feature. Then you can choose from a variety of templates. For example, if the event's time or location has changed, you can select a template that automatically generates a message with the updated details. You can also share your eCard via email. First, select your preferred email service. Let me show you how to use the Gmail option. You will see a preview of the email. As you can see, it automatically includes all the event details. If you need to make changes or add something, click Edit to update the email text. A nice thing you can do here is edit the link within the email. For example, if you want your guests to land on your wedding website first rather than the eCard, click Edit Link. I'll go to the wedding website, copy the link, and paste it here. Now, when recipients click the link in the email, they will be directed to my wedding website first. There are also helpful templates for various scenarios. For instance, if you're already sent the invitation but want to remind your guests to RSVP, you can use the RSVP reminder template. It creates an email with the appropriate text. Or if you want to remind your guests about the event in a few days beforehand, you can select the event reminder template. Let me show you how it looks. It's similar to the original email but slightly updated. It says event reminder in the headline and includes all the event details. You can also edit this template if needed. Once you're happy with the email, click on Copy Email. Then go to your email platform, paste the text, and add your recipients and subject line. Now let's return to CreatEcards and I'll show you 2 last features. Under Marketing Tools, you will find all the materials related to your card and event. You can copy the event image or its URL, the RSVP link, the event's address, date, time, and anything else you might need when communicating with your guests. Lastly, there is the Send to Phone feature. Scan the QR code with your phone to access sharing option directly to your mobile device, like WhatsApp or iMessage. Keep in mind this feature is for hosts only. It's not intended for sharing directly with guests. In the next part of the video, I will show you how to manage your RSVPs, edit your lists, and set specific settings for specific guests. Alright, so after we finish creating the event, let me show you how you can manage your RSVPs in your dashboard. The first way you can reach the dashboard is by clicking here and then clicking on View in Dashboard. You will then see your RSVPs in the dashboard. If you're logging into your account and want to go to the dashboard from the homepage, you will see your invitation down here. To access the dashboard, you just need to click on View RSVPs. Alright, at the top of the dashboard, you will see a summary of your replies. In the first tab, you will find a list of your replies showing the name of the main guest, their email address, and a summary of how many guests are confirmed under this main guest. If you want to see more details, you can click here to view the names of other guests in this group. You will see the names of the guests along with details such as whether they are adults or children, their meal preferences, and any dietary or allergy information they provided. On the right side, you will have the option to edit the details for this group. You can change the first and last names, but you won't be able to edit the email address of the main guest. To save these changes, you will need to specify whether the guest is attending or not attending. Once you click Update, you will see the updated list of guests confirmed under this main guest. You can also modify the details of individual guests within the group, delete any guests from the list, or add new guests to the group. Once you're done, click Confirm to save your changes. If you have a Pro account, you can also customize the RSVP settings for this group. For example, you can specify if this group is adults only, whether they are allowed to bring additional guests, and the maximum number of guests permitted per invite. If you need to reset this group setting to match the default settings for the entire guest list, you can click here. Otherwise, hit Save and then Update to keep the changes. Alright, another feature in the dashboard is the ability to message your guests. Click here and you will be taken to the same page as I showed you earlier for sending emails. On the right side, you will see a preview of the email, which you can edit if needed. On the left side, you can choose which guest to send the message to. For example, you can send messages only to attending guests, not attending guests, those who haven't responded yet, or all your guests. If you select all, for instance, and click Copy Guests, it will copy the email addresses of everyone on your guest list. From there, you can paste these email addresses into your email platform and easily send an email to your entire guest list. Alright, so another feature here is the ability to manually add a guest. Click on RSVP and then enter the first and last name and the email address of the guest. You can decide whether the guest is invited but awaiting a response, already confirmed as attending, or marked as not attending. Once you click Add Guest, you will be able to personalize the setting for this guest. You can specify whether they are allowed to bring children or additional guests, and set the maximum number of guests they can confirm under their invite. Click Save and you will see the manually added guest listed below. It will show as waiting for a reply until the guest responds. The next tab in the dashboard is the guest list and answers. Here you will see a full list with all the details of your guests, including whether they are attending, not attending, or haven't responded yet. You can also download the entire list as a CSV file, which includes all the information about your guests. Alright, the next section is Analytics. Here you will see statistics about your RSVPs, including the total number of replies, how many guests are attending, and the percentage of adult guests versus children attending. Since I defined this event as adults only, the analytics show 100% adults and 0% kids attending. Below this, you will see a breakdown of meal preferences showing how many guests selected each option. This helps you know the quantity needed for each meal. The next tab is the message wall, where you will find messages from your guests, whether they are attending or not. Here you can read any notes they've left for you. Finally, the last tab in the dashboard is Organize with Amazon, which provides access to Amazon categories for products you might need for your event. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to grab my free wedding website template from the link below, and I'll see you in the next video.